Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Modern Contractor. I am absolutely delighted today to be joined by Nate Hepner of Hepner Consulting. Today, we are going to talk about how to get your phones answered. We are going to talk about rehash and everything in between that front and back end of what happens in there. I'm delighted to have Nate here because not only is he wicked brilliant, but he's an incredibly good human overall. And so for this episode of Modern Contractor, like I said, we have Nate Hepner of Hepner Consulting joining us. Welcome, Nate.
Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate you having me on. I know it's been a long time coming, and I'm really excited to have this conversation.
We've been trying to schedule this for weeks, and it's 100% on me. So it has been a long time coming, and I'm looking forward to this conversation so much because it's something that almost every single company I talk to, or every single company that I talk to, it's useful and relevant. And we all know I geek out on data, and you've got a lot of data that backs up what we're talking about today. So I'm excited to dive in. Before we dive in, let me give you the running rules per the norm. So Nate does not have the questions that I'm going to ask him ahead of time, because what fun is that? We like to have a fluid conversation here on the Modern Contractor. And when we get to the end of talking business, which always goes way too fast, I'm going to ask Nate a couple random personal questions so that, again, you get to see who he is as a person. But before we get to those questions, let's dive into this. All right. So let's start with your journey. You didn't come directly from the home improvement industry, but somehow you were led to build an AI call center. How did you recognize that was a problem we're solving? Like, how did you get here?
Yeah, so I think probably visual is probably the best way to go with this. So if I could take over the screen, I'll give you a screen share, and I'll kind of walk you through who we are, what we did, and what I built. My organization, I know I have Hepner Consulting across my shirt, but it was one of our first apparels that we released. And I love Hepner Consulting, but we're actually Hepner Corporation. We have 3 separate divisions, and we are a national company. So we have over 200 clients across the United States, and we serve just about every single aspect of the technology industry, right? So we want to be your full technology partner. We want to step in and really give you that trust and transparency to help you grow your organization. And call center sync is really just like one of the small pieces of the things that we do. And I know that that's the majority of what this conversation is about today. But when you take into account who we are and what we can accomplish for your organization and do it with trust and transparency, it's going to kind of hit a little bit harder for everybody. So if I can share my screen, that'd be great.
Yeah, 100%. Please do. And I feel it necessary to call out here, in our early days of One and Fund, we had consulted and leveraged Nate for some things. And so that's why when I'm saying he's an amazing guy and wickedly brilliant, I've had the pleasure of working with Nate and leveraging his expertise to help us in our early days. So I can back up everything you're saying.
Yeah, that was many years ago, but it was a great time. It was one of our first startups in the home improvement space that we helped grow, and being your original IT admin and helping grow your organization, work with your teams, and then hand it off to, I believe Skylar it was when he came in as the CTO. It was a great journey. I'm glad I was a part of it for the beginning place. I still remember that Rob actually gave me a plank owner's jersey for the project. So that made me really happy for that. Are you able to see my screen? Is everything lining up?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So a little bit about myself. So I own Hepner Corporation and all of its companies, and I built it under one very strict vision, which is what I wanted to have was 100% transparency with customers and a relationship first experience, right? So what that means for me is that I want the capability to where I have a friendship with that client, right? I build a conversation, I build a relationship, I build a foundation that where I don't see you as just, a number in my system. And you don't see me as somebody that's just reaching my hand into your pocket, right? We work with your organization. We find the prices that work the best for you. And every single thing is flexible while also at the same time giving you the capability to where you know every single thing that we're doing and how we're doing it. And it's all being set up for your best interest. And it turns out that in the home improvement space, that's actually things that people really value. So that's probably why our business has grown so much. We don't do any advertising to the normal public. We don't, jump on LinkedIn and do a bunch of posts and all this other stuff. You'll see that most of our stuff has really nothing on it. And the reason why is because all of our clients we got through referrals. So I think I did a little bit of Google in the beginning, but that was about it. So how this all kicked off was I joined the United States military at an early age. I went Army infantry, presidential escort. I was in Washington, D.C. under the Obama era, and I had a great time serving my country. I got out in 2016, and I had a top secret security clearance, and I went immediately into government contracting. So I worked through, I think, about 26 different contracts over about a 10-year time frame. And then from there, I got started up in a consulting company. And it was an interesting conversation because the owner of that consulting company pretty much said, like, Nathan, I can sell your services to really any company. Like, you've done so many different jobs in project management and contracting and building relationships and, just running projects on massive scales. Like, you're kind of perfect for what I'm looking for. So I came in, became a manager at that company, and I built a company called Hepner Consulting immediately after leaving that organization. So Hepner Consulting over time expanded into having too many clients and growing and kept on speeding up. And every time we added a client, they'd always bring us things. And those things would be stuff like, I can't find anywhere that we can do this, or there's something that's just like not in the industry. And, maybe you know how to build it, or you could bring somebody in. Luckily, going through as many jobs and contracts as I did to grow before my consulting company, it became one of these things where it was like I had so much knowledge of it and so many people that knew how to do things that I was able to pretty much just find really good rates for stuff. Like, hey, you need a developer. I know somebody that can do this for you. They're at a senior level and they won't charge you that much money. So once we kind of pulled everything together, we really realized that we had three separate divisions inside of our organization, and then we turned it into a corporation. So the three separate organizations that we have, and here's some main pieces about kind of like what makes us different is that a typical company, when you're working with them, you're going to hear things like, a help desk is, you have a help desk and you're calling something when something breaks. Well, with us, it's like you have developers, right? You have designers, you have website managers, you have IT support team, you have one person you can call and they have the answers to fix your needs, or they can find them very quickly and turn it around. And that's something that people really love to have, is not having to look for answers themselves. So within our three divisions, what we have is Hepner Consulting, and that handles all of your IT managed services, your software integrations. We can do ERP migrations. We can do designing and branding for your organization, as well as a digital web experience. So pretty much anything that you need to do that when you turn on your computer in the morning and get started, we can help you with that, and we can manage it, and we can do it at rates that are going to be better than anybody in the competition. From there, we also have a software company. So as we started scaling our business and bringing in more clients, they would bring us these situations where they wanted us to build something for them. So what we realized is, well, if this company is going to make sense for them, let's talk to some of our other clients and see if it makes sense for them too. So what we did is we built a company called Hepner Sync. And what that has done is release 5 projects to the internet. And we now have 5 softwares as a service that we've released to the client bases. And turns out a majority of them are actually just in the home improvement industry. And that's where we've really found the most need for our talent, is from organizations that have been doing the same thing for a very long time. And they're looking to get into the modern workplace. And they're saying, this is what we want. So we want somebody that we can trust and it's going to do right by our organization and make sure that we're taken care of and give us that great kind of like white glove service. And that's what we've produced inside of our softwares, as well as our support for the organization. And then obviously everyone has a website. So it was a pretty easy move to move over and start designing and building those for our customers and managing them as well. So that's probably the shortest way I can explain how this all kind of got kicked off with that. You like me to get into call center sync now?
I 100% do want to get into call center sync, because when you were telling me about it, I was absolutely enthralled. Before we get there, as you were just talking about kind of your journey and your path here, something popped in my head, and you've worked with hundreds or even thousands of owners and leadership teams over the course of your career. And I want to know, like, what are some things that stand out to you from companies who truly are looking to grow and to scale? What's different about them than the ones who keep getting in their own way?
It's always that they have one individual in the company that has gotten to the point where they're just frustrated with the status quo, and they have the capability to actually make that decision and say, okay, I
Mm.
understand. Like, so for instance, we have a customer that we just recently brought on. I can't give the name because we have NDAs with all of our clients.
Yes,
But they've
please
got
don't.
about 30 years of experience in the Appleton area. And if you heard the name and you're a general contractor, you immediately know who they are. They're massive,
Sure.
right? So we brought this customer on, and it was a referral. Another contract company said, hey, they're great. You love them. Sit down with Nate, have a conversation, and they'll get you sorted out. So within about a week time frame, we brought them on this migration journey, and we got them set up in the modern workplace and full Microsoft systems and device management. And they were using a system called AOL. I don't know if anybody on this remembers AOL, but they were running their entire business out of AOL.
Does
And
that still exist? I'm so
it does.
sorry. I have to ask. Like, is that even
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Yeah. I didn't even, when they told me, I was like, wait, what? Like, you're using AOL still? And they're like, yeah, we all have AOL business emails. I was like, okay, all right. Well, this isn't it. Like, I'm okay. Let's do it. So we figured it out. We got it done. But the big piece here is that the person that kicked this all off was somebody that's been with the company for 25 plus years, and they've seen just kind of like the headaches that every single person in their organization is dealing with. And they said, it's going to be hard to make a change, to move over and migrate or get off of AOL because we're so used to it and so much of our stuff is. But if we can find a company that like is trustworthy and that we can work with and will do it quickly, like we need to make that change so that we can keep making money for the next 20 to 30 years because we're with the times, right? We're using the software everyone else is using. We're not handicapped by our IT stack because it's difficult to move, right? So there's always like one person in a company that's kind of the champion for that. And that person is like, you should treasure that person, right? Like the person that's coming and saying like, we need to make a change. We need to do it because of these reasons, not because it's just hard with what we're currently doing, but because we're going to get more capability in the future, right? I think the biggest like sales piece is like, I was listening to this one person recently on a podcast, and they were saying along the lines of that no one really cares about your business of whatever you're trying to sell, right? They care about 15% about what the product is. And the rest of the percentage that's left over, about 85% of it, is what your product could actually do for them long term or the perceived version of it, right? So if you have a person in your team that's saying we need to change so that we can keep up with the times and they understand how your organization is, and they've been around for 25 years, rely on that person to find the right company to make that change for you. And most of the time it turns out to be our company, but not to toot our own.
Okay. I mean, fair enough, but that's super valid. And in technology world, we know that many times by the time somebody says, "Oh, we need to change to stay up with the times," they're likely already behind in some way.
Yeah.
And so, that gap becomes bigger and bigger as time goes on. All right, let's 1000% talk about call center sync. And as you're pulling it up and you're talking to us about it, I want to call out the big elephant in the room. We have a lot of elephants around AI. AI is buzzy. Everybody's excited about it. But oftentimes when people hear AI call center, they may picture a previous time where it's been this frustrating automated phone prompt system, right? Like I'm notorious for being like agent. I'm 100% one of those people because the old systems were not great. So as you're talking about this, Nate, please make sure to highlight like what your technology does different. How is the customer experience different? And I
Yeah.
know you will, but it's important to call that out.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So that is a huge piece to this that throws people off is that they think about, they called their bank and they're trying to say account number and it just keeps stating random words and never gets them what they want or doesn't understand. So what you're actually dealing with there is you're dealing with a prompt system. So it's not an AI at all. It's pretty much you're saying a word and it knows to listen for that word. That technology is there. It knows to listen for it. And when it hears account settings, it knows to take you to account. But
Yeah.
it doesn't have the capability to take into account age, accent, voice, translation. Like none of that's there, right? So then there's a small variance. You're a millisecond behind on the call, bad reception, whatever it is. And it just like can't understand what you're saying. So then it just starts repeating itself, right? So that's not an AI,
Yes.
right? That's just a prompt based system in IVR, right? Like a dialing
That's
platform.
such an important thing to call out.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about here today. So
Yeah.
what we're talking about here today is an artificial intelligence. So it has the capability to where it can dynamically work with that customer lead. So what we do is we build a system in the very basics, and we'll go through the website and explain that before we get into it. But in essence, what you're talking with is something that is going to dynamically interact with your customers and give you the capability to where it has a starting point that is the same every single time. And then also at the same time, it can dynamically interact. So if that customer says, yeah, I tried to show up to your location, but you guys, weren't there or we don't have a location, it can empathize with the customer. It can like actually, you can hear that in its voice that it's coming across.
Ooh.
It's sorry and it feels that it has done something wrong against that client. And it can build back towards getting them rebooked or getting them the information they need based off of a prompt system that you design. Very different than I'd like to talk to account settings and it just keeps repeating the same thing, right? It's totally different softwares. And our system is by far the most capable on the entire market. And as we get into the website, you'll know exactly why.
And I love you calling that out too, because that's another thing of people are concerned about balancing the efficiency of AI with the warmth, trust, and human interaction. This is a relationship business in home improvement, right? So that connection with homeowners, especially when they may be making a major purchase, is so important. And I know you've addressed that. So I'm excited for you to talk more about that as well.
Yeah. And just to kind of remove the concerns on that front, like
Yeah.
a, maybe 3 years ago, the technology was not there. But for select companies like mine that understand how to develop and build in this space and aren't just using the AI keyword to get clients, what you have to take into account is that most of the softwares that are coming out these days that say that they're AI calling systems, they're actually using one of the big name companies and they're just rebranding it for their own. And then they're using a bunch of
Mm.
like bolt-on pieces to create a software they brand as theirs. And then you're using technically like a retail or one of those other larger platforms that just do the calling piece. So it's just a bunch of like add-ons, right? And then they're hoping that they grow enough clients that then they can start like maybe actually doing some real development of their own. My organization doesn't use any of that. So what we do is we build everything in-house and we have a completely native proprietary software that we've built to run off of this. And it's actually built off of one of our previous softwares that we've partnered with companies like Home Depot to move data for out of their lead generation system into like Builder Prime and other CRMs. And that's the data sync system. So when we
Nice.
started seeing this need for call center systems and we had a client reach out to us and say, we've talked to retail and we can't figure out what the heck they're talking about in relation to moving data from point A to point B. And they're saying it's going to cost us like 15 grand to set up this thing. And we need this. Like, we know that this is where it's going. And they could see out that in 2 years, call centers are gone. Like, most people are going to have an AI doing this work for them. So they saw that and they had the foresight. So they reached out to us and we sat down and we realized like, oh, data sync is already built to do all of this. It's already moving data from point A to point B. If we can figure out the voice piece, and this was about a year ago, if we could figure out the voice piece, then
Sure.
we can have this. Like, we can build this thing as well. So when we released Call Center Sync and it hit the market, we demoed it with Builder Prime, and they signed us as a native application within about a month, which was a huge piece. So we got to meet with their team and go through the process. Incredible platform they've built over there, and we're just so excited to be a part of their organization and really just get their information from their users and then set it up. So let me get into
really great people too. Let me just call that out. Like, great people.
Yeah, Chris Rice over there, he's doing amazing things for their partnership team. So I'm really excited to see how this turns out for their organization with having those types of people involved.
100%.
All right, so let me get into Call Center Sync. So the first thing to preference with Call Center Sync is that we are nothing like anyone else on the competition. This is not just another tool that you're like, okay, well, let me compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges and figure out which one I want to use, right?
Yep.
So the reason why we are different is one very big thing that we figured out very early on. And it's also the same exact thing that a completely different industry, but McDonald's figured out a very long time ago. So what this is that McDonald's is so popular because they can give you the exact same thing in every single state, and they can turn it out in a faster time frame than any of their competition at that time. That allowed them to grow rapidly, right? The fast food chain, that's what kind of took it all up, right? Well, it's the same thing for the call center industry. So right now, if you go to any of our competition, whether they, their names start with an R or whatever it is, or S or any of those other brands, just leave that open to interpretation, what those are. You talk with them or you look at their website, they're going to say that if you want to get started with this, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have like a 5 or 10-day time period where it's going to be us learning your system and going through meeting upon meeting and understanding what you do. And then we're going to build your AI, and that's going to take about, 15 to 30 days. And then there's going to be some like testing timeframes and all this other stuff. That's because they don't understand how to do this, right? They're taking stuff from different pieces, they're putting it together, and they're like, oh, well, this will work, and we'll charge a bunch of money for build costs, charge a bunch of money for setup and development time and all this other stuff. And then we'll charge you every time you use it on top of that. And we'll make a ton of money. It'll take you a long time to get sufficient results for what you're looking for. But they're hoping that you're looking 2 years out and knowing that everybody's going to have it, so you're going to get started early, right? And they're trying to maximize that. What we do, and very different about us, and very similar to what McDonald's did, is our platform on the ones that we have native integrations with, which is currently Builder Prime, Lead Perfection, and i360. We can build your AI in 30 minutes. I'll say it again. 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say that again loudly for those who weren't listening.
30 minutes. You can go to our website, and just to be clear, we do everything transparently, like we've said multiple times. So instead of hiding everything behind demo windows where you got to meet with our team, we're going to try to pitch you and my guy's going to make a commission. Nobody in my company makes commissions. Everybody's salary. So anything that they tell you, it's just what it is. There's no benefit for them to tell you something different. Now, you can try our AI. You can click that button. You can have a conversation with it. It can tell you many things about how the software works, what it does, what it could do for your business. It has a direct feed into the website, so it knows all the capability that the system has. And it can walk you through what a conversation could look like with your customer, right? You can do that. You don't have to go through a demo. Just go check it out. Have some fun with it. The create account. You can create an account today. You can go through the process. You can set up a meeting with my team. And in a 30-minute meeting, we will provision and build your AI. And then it will release, and it will have all of the features that are discussed on the website within that 30-minute session on the softwares that we released to those CRMs. So Builder Prime, Lead Perfection, and i360. We have another 6 CRMs that we're already in conversations with the actual CRM themselves to become native applications for their systems. So within the next month and a half, we'll have a gambit of the 9 largest CRMs that are in the industry that you can literally just 30 minutes, click a button and set them. So the real question before we get into the website is, as a business owner or a marketing manager, what would you rather do? Spend $15,000 and 3 months to build out something that might get you results? Or would you rather come to our website, click a button, and in 30 minutes have something that is funded and ready to go that you can start booking meetings on the next day? That's the question that you really need to decide. And that's why this really is not an apples to apples conversation, right? This is a completely different service that is going to revolutionize the entire industry. And that is why organizations like Builder Prime and other companies that you'll see today are saying, let's do this. Like, let's jump in. Like, we are the game changers. So,
Yep.
with that being said, our system has the capability to where you can do inbound, outbound text messaging, email follow ups. You can do full write back to your CRM. So anything that happens inside of our software will move over to your software in your CRM. And this is something that I want to be very clear about because I know that other CRM employees or people are going to be watching this as well. Your connection is massive, Jen. So, with that being said, what I want you to really take into account is that most of our competition, when they're, setting up and building this thing, is that their goal, and it's probably not that hard to figure out, their goal is that they get enough companies using it, and then all they have to do is really add the calendar feature and the lead provider feature. They have their own CRM, and now they're going to be able to take your call. Our system itself, we have zero interest in trying to replicate a CRM. I'll be 100% honest with you. This will never become a CRM because we just have no interest in it. Yes, we know that we could probably build something that would be really cool, but we like what we do. We like being your technology provider. We like building cool innovations and fun things. We don't want to get into the CRM gambit, right? So if you're an organization and you're like, we want to partner with Hepner Consulting or Hepner Corp or Call Center Sync, you never have to worry about us trying to play in your same arena, right? We're just going to keep doing our own thing. So with that being said, full right back into your system. We have live escalation capability. So it'll send out emails to your team and say, this person requested a conversation. They would like to talk to you, notify you if you have that notification turned on inside of your browser window. Multi-location capability. So you can have one location or 50 locations. It doesn't charge you anything different. It's the same exact cost to use the platform. With that being said, you have a 30-minute setup, and then you can have unlimited AI agents. So all that stuff I was talking about how our competition takes, a good chunk of time and it's 15 grand to build and all that other stuff, that's to build one agent that can do inbound calls or outbound calls or text messaging. They're all separate things. Ours is one agent that does all of those things in 30 minutes. And you can have as many of them as you want.
Okay. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting your flow, and this is amazing, and everybody needs to hear about it. But one of the things that blew my mind, and you might be coming up to talk about this anyways, is that different agents can actually have different regional dialects.
Correct. Yeah. So every single warehouse location that you build inside of your system has its own phone number. So if you're an organization that mainly runs, say, Michigan, and you have 4 separate regions and they have their own warehouses and their own sales reps and their own team members, what you can do is literally have that exact setup. You can say this warehouse has this phone number, and if this lead comes into this area based off the zip code, it will call from this phone number. And then the system has full callback capability. So if you have 50 locations and they're running around the clock inside of the system and they're calling people and everything else, there's going to be callbacks. So right when they call back that number, it's going to walk them through the same exact booking process and do the exact same thing. So you can have as many numbers as you want for the system. You can have as many warehouses as you want. You can have as many agents as you want. They all run individually of themselves. You can call 20 people concurrently at the exact same time. We did a live test at one of our systems. They wanted to do a rehash at one of our client sites that's using the Builder Prime system, and we called 7,700 people in a 6-hour time. So just take into account that like your best call center person is maybe doing 600 people a day over a 12-hour shift. We did 7,700 people in 6 hours with one agent. So if you're an organization like, I just off the top of my head, the biggest one I can think of is Revamp, right? So if you have 84 locations like Revamp and you're running out of one call center, we literally handle your entire lead thing, and all you're paying for is the usage cost that your AI is doing. You're not paying for build costs, new feature requests, or really anything else. It's one of those categories where it's supposed to be a game changer. Everybody's excited about it for a reason.
Well, and this is a huge game changer, and your company also is a huge cost savings, right?
Yes.
And I'm saying right because I know that, but everybody should know that it can be a huge cost savings. And I'm sure when you're talking to owners or their teams, there's still fear or hesitation. Are you hearing that because it's a fear of, these are my long-term employees, I care about them, I don't want to replace them? Is it fear of losing control? Is it fear of the AI itself? Again, with that customer experience and trust, like what are some of those trepidations that homeowners, or not homeowners, but business owners are overcoming to really use this to drive their business forward?
Yeah, so it's two things that we've seen across these conversations and clients that we've talked to, and we've had conversations and signed clients that are in the 35 million all the way to the 270 million. We have clients that are using it that are just at $1 million, right? And they're just trying to make a little bit more money, and they don't have the capability to bring in a call center individual, right? Or they're having
Like they just need to get their phones answered.
yeah, they just need to do that, right? So whether you're doing $1 million a year or 270 million a year or more, this system's perfect for you.
Yeah.
But the key thing to take into account is that it's a relationship industry. We already had that conversation, right? And we talked about that. So in a relationship industry, you care about your employees. But what I can guarantee you is that your call center manager, while she does or he does care about your employees, a call center is a difficult thing to run. Anyone that has ever run one, they know that it is stress, it is rehires, it is turnover, it is vacations, it is time off, it is all of these additional things and people messing up in trainings and saying the wrong things and all of that stuff. All of that goes away with the call center system with us. So Call Center Sync takes all of those burdens away, and it gives you the capability to where you have one person that needs to manage the system. So what we call that is your AI handler. And usually what it tends up to being is the manager of your AI, of your call center currently. They know the system the best. They run the people, everything else. They run the system. And this doesn't have to be something where it happens quickly, where you just let everybody go, right? You can run our system in parallel with yours in your off hours, running your leads that you don't want to talk to anymore, your 30 through 90 days or higher, and just having those conversations and rehashing your system. You can do that. You can get the results. And then when you're ready and your call center manager is ready, you can have that conversation and figure out what you need to do with your organization. But let's not lie about the situation here, which is in the next 2 years, most call centers are going to be gone. And it's because the capability here, it just far exceeds what a human being can do. It's the same exact reason why every single business owner that uses Excel right now, they're not using a calculator to type up all the numbers. And then they're like, okay, I got 60 numbers here and this is what the total is. No, they type them into an Excel sheet, they copy the whole entire column, and then it just tells them the value, right? That's faster. This is faster. So it's going to take over the industry in this sector. So you can get on board with it and you can get ready and you can make those sales that are better than your competition and get your team ready for it, or you can be behind the curve. And that's really what we're seeing here across these conversations. And that's why companies are reaching out to us, is because they don't want to get behind the curve.
Valid. And I'll leave my soapbox aside, but we see the same thing with financing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
and that's why solutions were born.
Yeah. So to get back into the system itself.
Yeah.
So the big piece here with integrations, let me scroll up a little bit. So full API capability, right? Whatever your CRM is, whatever platform you're using, if you're using one-click contractors like Light CRM that they built, whatever it is, if it has API calls, we can build it into, right? For companies that we currently have native applications for, Builder Prime, Lead Perfection, released about 2 weeks ago. We have an awesome company down in Florida that's killing it with that. And then from there, we have also Improve It i360 that releases next Wednesday to the client base. And then any customer past Wednesday, so Thursday morning, you could come into the system, create an account, boom, you're ready to go. And it's doing all of your stuff by the next day. Job Trend is on the list. We have Shopify, Zoho, and we got about 6 other ones that we're looking at right now. So there's a lot of stuff coming in the next 2 months. The big piece that I want to get into is that when we're talking about the system itself, and we're getting into kind of like the beta testing and growth here, is that we can literally have really the capability to integrate into any CRM But we want the capability to have somebody that's a powerhouse in the industry that's already using, the CRM, whatever it is. So what we do is we have a 50% discount for the first 6 months on any company that is using a CRM that we don't have current capability to access right now. And if you're willing to come in and beta test our platform, we'll give you 50% off your costs for the first 6 months, which
That's
is
pretty
a
incredible.
huge cost savings to your system. But comparable to what the amount is to run the system, it's really not that big of a cost in general. So build cost is the biggest thing. That's your biggest hurdle of getting into this industry. We wipe that out completely. There's no build cost because it takes 30 minutes to set up. It'd be hard for me to charge you $15,000 for a 30-minute meeting.
I mean, if you are, I need a new business model.
That would be a good one. Yeah, I know a couple people that do like 4-hour meetings a month and they get paid $15,000 for, but that's well deserved. And I don't have that capability. So like I said, there is no build and setup cost. That's $0. Platform SaaS fees, none of that. I know a lot of our competition charge platform reoccurring monthly fees. We don't do that. Per seat, 0 per seat. You add your whole company or you could add one person. Doesn't matter to us either way. Support and training. That's a big piece, right? It's a new system.
Yes.
You get 100% support and training at no cost to your organization. And you get it from an organization that is the same part of the team, which is Hepner Consulting, which all we do is support and build companies every single day. It's the same help desk. We're not outsourcing this to China or India, and you're going to have to talk to somebody else with a different language. You'll talk to Wisconsin bred, raised, big strapping boys like me and women that will be able to help you and fix those issues for you and get you on the same page with your system. Big piece here, there's no contract. You literally just set up, start using it, you fund the account. As it starts to call people, it decreases the amount of money that's in the account, and you set up an auto charge so that it doesn't cut off while it's talking to your customers. And that's really the whole piece here. So when we get into costs of the system, what we charge for the platform is 99 cents per minute. And the key here is to be very clear about what that 99 cents per minute does. So typical appointments inside of our system, and I know that this is crazy for most industries because it's about 6 to 8 minutes. Our system is booking meetings within about 3.5 minutes. One of our best beta testers, they have a 47% book rate on their calls. And on top of that, they're closing them in 2.5 minutes with that book rate. That's incredible. Those are insane.
It is
numbers.
Incredible.
But that's
I'm
what
trying not to interrupt, but it is incredible.
Yeah, I think they were at an 8% before they started using our system. So you go from 8% to 47%. It blows people's minds, and they're just like, well, I can see that they're closing. I can see that the NCR, like they're keeping the appointments. The crazy thing is that the AI, the meetings that it closes, it actually closes better than their call center meetings. So they're actual like humans. They have a higher cancel rate than the AI does, which I think that's a good metric for us. It's good for us to know that we're doing better. Now the system itself, 3.5 minutes. So 99 cents a minute is approximately $3.50 for your extra lead if it goes that length of time. Something to keep in mind is that we do charge based off of the minute of usage, right? So if you are rehashing a database and you're calling 4,800 leads or something, and they're ranging anywhere from 60 days to 3 years back, there's going to be a lot that don't pick up. We do have to charge for every one of those calls. On average, a call takes about 15 seconds, give or take. So it's about 15 cents. Right. So that's what we're charging for that. Standby times, off hours. The system has complete capability to where you can turn it off and run it whenever you want and pause it. It doesn't charge anything for that. So it's really just as it's doing the work, you're getting charged for it. But it's going to be drastically cheaper than any call center is because of all of the overhead for the call center and then also just the hours you're paying while they're not doing anything. Right.
Well, even something you just said, Nate, was, we have to charge for like a non-answer or whatever. It's 15 cents. So you're not saying, hey, every call that goes out, there's a minute minimum on it. You're charging for the actual time, which
we're charging you down to the cent for the actual time. So there is no like flat rate. Every call is this or every conversation. I know they use that in the industry as well. They're like, we're charging you for the conversation. So it's blank dollar amount that goes towards some figure, it's a bunch of like numbers and stuff. I don't know if you can add that into the recording, but it's just like it's not calculus, right? It's that the system is running. We know what the cost of the system is, and we're going to charge you based off the penny. So it's trust and transparency. That's the whole point of it.
Yes. Yes.
All
And
right. So trust and transparency. Let's get into that next. So I think the
let's
big
do
piece
it.
here is numbers. What do people love? People love numbers, and I love calculators. So instead of hiding everything behind a paywall and making you try to go through some demo process, what we built is we built a website that is our demo process. So if you demo us, we're just going to walk through the thing that you've already seen, which is the website. We're just going to explain it out a little bit better and then help you set up your account because it's kind of a no-brainer at that point. So with the system, there's a lot of capability inside of this calculator that we're going to look at. You can select if you have a call center or you don't have a call center. The numbers do change based off of the size. You can also click this button and use your own numbers. That way, if you want to actually see what this could do for your business. Keep in mind that these are average numbers, and they are if you use the system the right way and you're using it full time based off the way we recommend. If you decide you're just going to run it in your off hours and a bunch of other things, obviously this doesn't take into account those types of scenarios. So what we're doing is we have your sales funnel here, and we have it for an organization that's approximately 20 million in revenue. Their average ticket is in the shower industry, so it's about 18,000 for that. Their marketing budget's about 17%, and then their call center cost is about 3%. So they're spending about $561,000 a year on their call center. They're running about 3,500 leads, and their current conversion lift, we're thinking that we'll be able to get them through the capability of it running within TCPA guidelines as much as your state allows. And then also at the same time, 365 days a year. There's no vacations, there's no lunch breaks, there's no off hours. It hits the system. That lead comes in, it calls them, it does the follow-ups in whatever cadences you want for as long as you want. All of that stuff coming into account, we think will lift you by about 2% on your NCR based off what we've seen at other customers. Some of our other customers have stuff all the way up to 5, but it's not fair for us to say that because we don't know what your situation is yet. So we just leave it at 2. With that being said, we also take into account dead leads, right? Because some leads you're going to get, no matter how many times you call them, they're never going to pick up because they type the phone number wrong or whatever it is. They just don't happen. We account for that as well because that's 15 cents for every single one of those calls. We keep track of in our system approximately a call of about 68 attempts over a 30-day process inside of the calculator. So it's keeping track of these numbers. We want to be very transparent on what these are, and we want the capability to where you can slide the numbers. And if you're not at a 40% dead rate and you're up at like an 80, you can see what that would be for your business. Now, if we take into account your sales funnel, and I know this is information that a lot of people pay very good money for somebody to come in and teach them what sales funnel is. You look like you got a question, Jen.
No, I'm kind of leaning back because you're on a big screen and I want to see the big screen.
All right. So your sales funnel is you have your raw to set, you have your set to issue, you have your issue to demo, you have your gross close, and then you have your cancel and your finance, right? So those are your 5 main big points, and that determines what some people in the industry call your net to close rate or your net conversion rate, really whatever you want to call it. All of these sliders, you can change them. Every single thing on this, if you don't know what it is or you forget, you can click on this, and down at the bottom, you'll actually get a little explanation down here explaining what these things are. So you can kind of change it around and get that information. Now, with that being said, for an organization like this, set up this way, these are the numbers that we're seeing across organizations like this.
Yes.
So let's break down these numbers real quick. So what we have is an organization that's doing approximately 18 million a year, using our system full time, running it the way that we're telling you to run it. You'll approximately make an additional $6.4 million a year, just because you're getting that 2% NCR lift on top of what you have. Now, with that being said, your call center costs, you're currently spending about 3%. Well, with this system, you're going to get about $402,000 if your dead leads are at about 40%. That's what you're looking at. So when you're looking at this in 2 years, that's why we're saying that everybody's going to switch to this. Is would you rather have a net close of 5%, or would you rather have a net close of 7%? And would you rather spend $560,000, or would you rather spend $150,000? That's why this is. So this system, it's a really interesting sell, right? It's use our platform that's not going to cost you anything to get started, and we're going to decrease your costs and increase your revenue. I don't know if there's an easier sell, but that's what we've got.
It's such a no-brainer. That is part of the reason we have to have this episode. of the modern contractor because it's so blatant. It's
Exactly.
almost offensive.
Yeah. For your marketing individuals, these are the numbers that you could look at. So for your return on ad spend, it'd be about a 2x. You'd have for cost of marketing, it would be a 4.4 point decrease. Your cost per sale is going to go down by about 25%. And then your revenue per lead is going to go up by about, what is that, 35%. So I'd say those are numbers that any business owner could get behind, especially when you take into account that all of the stress of running a call center goes away because you don't have a call center anymore. You have Call Center Sync doing that work for you.
Well, and those dollars can be employed so many other ways within one's business as well, right? Even being put back into more leads themselves. It's
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, in some ways, I remember the original versions of our calculator that we built. So we've used quite a few of our partners in the industry to help us build that out. We've also brought in a couple of our customers as well to like sit down and say, like, can you proof these numbers? Like, is this what you're actually getting if we use your number for the system? And every single time, that it was kicking out stuff, we actually had a field at one point that we thought was valuable where it would actually show you that if you decided to use our system, that it would literally wipe out this much money of your cost per lead. And most of the time it was just wiping it out to zero. So it's like, it really depends on what you want to do with that money. You can do a lot of things, like maybe just get rid of your current cost per lead with the cost savings. Yeah. So big key here, 6 to 8 minutes, it reduces it to 3.5. And to be 100% transparent, there's a piece here, right? And it's a two-sided coin, and it's 100% honesty too. Our system, and this is something you need to take into account with all of the call center platforms that are on the market, we make more money if you don't succeed. I know that sounds crazy, but we do, right? Because if you call 4,800 leads and none of them pick up, but we charge 15 cents for every single one of those leads, we charge you a good chunk of money and you make no money, right? But at the same time, if you make no money, you're not going to use our platform. So there's this kind of like fine level there. And that's why keeping that call center number at 3.5, I understand that a lot of people in the industry look at this idea of, you really want to build that like value of the lead where they get to the house and they feel like they know your team and everything else. You can structure that out however you want in our system. You can really have the AI like be a psychiatrist, have the conversation, really bring it out, know their entire thought process on what they want for their bathroom. And it will summarize all that information and take the direct information and put it back into your CRM so the sales rep's ready. You can do that. You can have those 6 to 8 minute conversations if you want. But that 3.5 minutes, that's what we're seeing it takes to close a really solid lead that does stay booked and doesn't cancel on it. So it's up to you on how you want to manipulate the system, but the capability is there. Now, 60 to 90 seconds for speed to lead. I know that some call centers have it faster than that. They have like auto dialers, that kind of thing that kick on. The 60 to 90 seconds is based off of what your CRM is. So if you're using Build a Prime, it's 60 to 90 seconds. If you're using a different platform, it depends on what that platform's capability is on their rate limiting to allow us to go faster. So if you're a big company and you're looking at this and saying, I want Call Center Sync, and you have connections to your CRM, become our beta tester, get a 50% discount for your first 6 months, get us in touch with those big CRMs, and then let's get that rate limiting lower and let's see how fast we can cook this thing. Because if we could get out 15 seconds to contact, our platform can do it. It's just rate limiting that's stopping us. All right, so getting into this a little bit more. So the number that I gave you about the 700 that we called in 6 hours, obviously that is considerably higher than 4.5 calls per day. We're trying to keep low on the estimates. We want to keep people, involved in relation to this. We don't really want to just like tell our best numbers that we've done because we don't know your situation. So we're just living to get at 4.5. Structured follow-up, it used to be 90, but now we've built a setting to where if your TCPA guidelines for your states are not as strict as other states, we can actually go up to 365 days for that. So you can rehash a lot of calls for a very long time frame. Looking at the system a little bit further in go live capability, I know we've talked about this quite a bit. So very similar to how other companies have this broken down. It's, 5 days, 30 days, and then, 3 months from now, we're finally doing good. It's exactly what it is, right? You sign up, create your account, book a same day meeting, you grant access to the CRM, zero build costs, no long-term commitment. There's no commitment other than the click wrap terms of service that you select. We'll do that 30-minute meeting. So hopefully we can do it pretty quick. There's a lot of demand on the platform. So it might be a week or two that you have to wait for your meeting. From there, you do the 30-minute meeting and then you go live the next day. And you go live in whatever means most for your business, whether it's running in the off hours. If you have no call center, it could just run straight through the gate full time, making all of your leads come through and, get you that high book rating.
Yes. So,
Capability. Oh, sorry, Jen.
sorry, Nate, you have mentioned TCPA a couple times, and last year or the year before, there was a lot of buzz and hullabaloo on regulations that were changing, and people were stressed out. Like I had Heather do a live webinar with us on it because we needed an expert opinion, and so the reason I bring that up is even though that particular regulation got put on hold and there were certain things that played out and things that didn't, that's still a concern for companies. So when you're working with partners or clients, and they have multi-states and there's something going on with TCPA, how fast can those changes happen if they need to? Or, or I guess two-part question, how is your team staying up to date on TCPA and what may need to happen in a call center environment?
Yeah, so
I know that's a tough question because again, you don't get questions ahead of time, but it's relevant and important.
It's something that we are very, very keenly aware of, and we are keeping up to date on. So I think the big key here to take into account is that TCPA guidelines are federal and they're also state-based, and they're for phone calls, they're for emails, and they're for text messaging. And they're all separate rules for every single one of those things, right?
Yes.
What we did with our system is we built the capability to where we actually have a crawler that goes to TCPA websites and it's crawling and grabbing that data and immediately interjecting it to our team so that we can build the system to be in line with TCPA guidelines. Most of our campaigns for TCPA, like text messaging approval, it's around 24 to 48 hours is what it takes to lock that in and get that released. I know a lot of our competition, it's like multiple attempts trying to figure out what the secret sauce is.
Oh my gosh, it's like months.
Yeah, it's not that hard when you understand how to do it the right way, right? Any conversation you have with one of our competitors and they're like, it takes months to do this. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's just that they don't know how to do it. And that's the reason, because they're using a bunch of bolt-ons to create a software, right? And we built something that we understand. We have these capabilities already before we even started building Call Center Sync a year ago. So with that being said, TCPA guidelines, they do change pretty frequently. So as new litigation comes down or paperwork or new laws get implemented, and this will continue to change. It's not something where you jump on, you start using the platform, and then you're like, okay, I'm good for the next 5 years. Probably the next week, they're going to have new rules for this. We are keeping track of those rules and we are manipulating the system within the bounds of what we can control to make sure that you meet those guidelines. But let's just be clear, like when you're using our platform, you're taking the responsibility of how you use it, right? Because you control the agent's capability. You pick when it calls, how it calls, how many times it calls people, all of that stuff. But for the call windows, depending on where your warehouse is located, we do limit your capability to call within that state's requirement. So if you say, well, I want to call them at 12 a.m., it's not going to let you do that, because if you're in Wisconsin, for instance, we lock it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you're not able to call outside those windows no matter how much you try. And that saves you a little bit, but there is that category of the do not contacts, right? We do have the system with full capability for do not contacts, as we show on this page, which gives you the capability to where if they say anything along the lines of don't call me, I don't want to hear from you, or something along those lines, it will mark it in your CRM as a do not contact, and RAI will never call it again. So you don't have to worry about angry people getting a bunch of calls. Normally in the conversations that we do here, when our customers do get it, do not contact, and it notifies and live escalates it to their call center manager so they can review the conversation, we hear things like, you called me multiple times and a bunch of other stuff, and we've talked to multiple of your call center records and we've told them to take us off and they just keep calling us. It's not usually the AI that's making the issue, and that's because it doesn't really make issues, right?
Right.
it does the same thing every single time. So if they say, no, don't contact me, it doesn't contact them again. It's usually the humans reaching out and just
Right.
keep hitting the same lead. And that's where you're going to get those litigation cases and those class action lawsuits that are going to really affect your business. It gets rid of that. So I would say if anybody worry about those things, look into AIs. That it's going to make those a lot less of an issue for you.
I'm so grateful I asked that question because the answer is even more thorough than I expected. And for anybody who's like, whoa, I would like to remind you at the beginning of this call, I had noted that Nate is brilliant. So, that way to be proactive on that and have crawlers looking for things that need to be adjusted or changed.
Yeah, we're actually building a feature right now inside of the system that gives you the capability to where if you know where your lead providers are posting their information to collect data, you can actually put it into the system and our crawler will go out and review their information that they have in the disclaimers and see if it meets TCPA guidelines. And that is a service that will be
Whoa.
100% free for every single customer using it. And I'm saying that because I know my competitors have services where they have humans go and look and review information. And obviously that can be faulty. And they charge a ridiculous amount of money for that service. So we're going to do everything that we can to upset the entire industry and make it to where we provide a better software that's more capable, built in-house, can release developments faster than any of our competition on new feature requests, and make it as cost effective for your business as possible and beat out every single competitor. So I feel bad for our competition because it'll be interesting for them to change their entire billing model and remove all of their things that they're currently making money off of, because we're starting out without having to worry about any of that stuff. Our overhead is extremely low because our corporation has 9 sources of income in different categories. We don't need to make enough money to run our entire team off of call center. We're really just building it because our customers wanted it and it makes sense to build it. A lot of people are going to start using these things over the next 2 years.
Yeah. Absolutely astounding. Like I said, every time you and I talk and I learn something more about this, I'm increasingly in awe.
Yeah, so just getting into the system, these are the main features that we list. There's about 15 features that I have not had my developers on the website team for Hepner Studios update on this yet. But there's a bunch of new features with the rollout of i360. That software is incredible. They have an amazing team that they've built that with. We've actually worked with one of our partners, Solutions in LaFlash. I think I got that wrong. Curtis, I'll have to get its exact name, but he drives an incredible company and has told us so much about the i360 system and how it works and how our software can implement into it. And Curtis is just awesome. If you're ever looking to move into i360, definitely have a conversation with his team and he can definitely get you there faster. But with that being said, a lot of the softwares that are on the market, they all have that like unique thing that makes their software better than the competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the cool thing from our side, because we're not planning on building a CRM ever, what we have access to is like 9 different CRMs, and they all have all these cool, unique little features. And what we're doing is we're taking those features and we're building them into our call center app. And we're giving you the capability to where you can get super cool, neat things that you would never be able to get with having a normal call center conversation inside of that CRM. And you're having it built into a platform that you don't have to manage, other than maybe one person in your company sets up the AI settings and then it just starts doing it. So you get like a bunch of really cool capability. Like for instance, you can cross-reference the distance between one location and another location. So you have a sales rep that's on one side of the state and he's got to drive 60 miles to the next one. Gives them enough time to book the meeting in between locations so they can get there. Also, the distance between the like warehouse and that location, just so that your call center team knows where like which agent's going to be best for this. A lot of zip code stuff. So if you want to run multiple zip codes for that one warehouse, or if you want to run specific zip codes, there's a lot of capability that you get in lead sourcing, right? What leads are getting called and which ones have the guideline capability inside of their terms of being contacted for TCPA standards do you want to call? So it's not that a lead shows up and then our system just dumbly calls it and has the conversation. There's all this criteria that you have to set inside of our software that gives our AI the permission to call the lead source, when it calls, how it calls, what type of conversation it has, how smooth it is. And all of that is built into the system already. And you can have it in 30 minutes. Like, there's no
Yeah.
reason to do build costs anymore. That's all extinct, in my opinion.
So, Nate, one of the things that popped in my head during this conversation is some of our local neighbors. Earlier this week, we had terrible, EF3 tornado come down, hit in Menasha, and people are still just trying to clean up rubble and get power back and things like that. And I know a lot of local home improvement companies are doing everything they can to help with having their teams on the ground to help clean up, and at the same time getting absolutely over inundated with calls and needs from our neighbors who, part of their house is gone and they need this and they need repairs and they need it fast. So I can't help but think of even our local companies that could really benefit from having something like this in place. And again, it's not something like this. It is this. This is the only one like it. To actually get those phones answered and get the help that our neighbors need. Like, am I thinking about that the right way?
Yeah, I would say that's the best way to put it. The big piece here is that, like, you can look at it from two sides, and you can say, oh, they're just money grabbers, right? They're looking at a bad situation. They're trying to make money off of it. Well, I can guarantee you that the customer so we were 2 miles away when the tornado hit down. I had my boys, we were at a client site, doing a walkthrough and talking with them about our services.
Justin was at the office with Hazel.
Yeah. So it's like, when that hit and the lights started flashing and everything else, and we started losing power and the sun just disappeared for some reason, that was obviously scary. But I can tell you that the contracting companies that we have as clients, nobody that is showing up at their house and saying, I'm going to get your power back on so you can have AC. Let me get you booked out for when my team can get there. Nobody is like, oh, you're just trying to take my money, right? Like, the industry that we support, the people that are in this service industry, they're out there right now as we speak, cutting down trees, fixing power lines, putting roofs back on, putting siding, fixing windows and doors that got ripped off. They're doing all of those things because that's their business, right? That's what they're supposed to do. So the only issue you run into is your call center able to keep up with it? And just like we say at the top of our page is, every call it's wasted if it doesn't get picked up, if it doesn't get answered, right? You're just wasting money. So if you are a business that people know in this industry and you want the capability to where when somebody calls your phone number, that it goes to our AI and it books them a meeting on the calendar and your sales rep shows up and gets that sale, do it. Because if you have 300 people that are calling you because all their house, roofs just got ripped off by a tornado, your call center is not going to keep up with it. Our system will handle it easily. So that's the difference between, when these horrible situations happen, like, have a system that can actually support it. Like, things going to voicemail, right when it goes to voicemail, guess what they're doing? They're calling your competition and they're going to have that conversation because they need to get it done. But if you can have a system that doesn't ever go to voicemail, takes every single call and puts it on your calendar, that's a pretty good use of your time and money, especially when it's, 1/4 the cost of your current call center.
100%. Well, and I'd like to note, we are also referencing, we're both talking about local companies who are in the trenches helping, because there are big national storm chasing companies that will send. I've heard about it. I've seen it, and it's high pressure and it's getting you signing on the spot. And I mean, here in Wisconsin, that's not our style anyways, but I guarantee those companies have a much bigger staff that will gladly take your call. So
those companies are implementing our systems because they're seeing it. They're like, if you have a $20 million company and they're going to get $400,000 in cost savings from their call center, what do you think the $270 million companies are going to save? Right? It's the same system. Like, they would have it set up a little bit different than yours. They wouldn't have like one agent that is calling all of these locations. they probably have one location and one agent, and that agent is taking 20 concurrent calls at the exact same time, and they're setting up one agent for every single warehouse instead of
Yeah.
one agent that handles like 6 warehouses. Either way, you can set it up inside of our system if you're that size and you need that type of capability and separate reporting for each of your different warehouses and what it is. You can do that. That's all built into the system and it will work that way. And you can do every single agent has its own inbound, outbound text messaging, and then the capability to assign phone numbers to specific things. So if you have, for instance, like a billboard that you have a number on, you can have that number inside of the system. And when that lead comes in, you can assign it to a lead source and you can track where all of your leads are coming in and the AI is having those conversations and doing that. I know those are services that most CRMs don't have the capability of doing. But inside of our system, our AI will write it into your system and give you that capability. And that's one of those pieces where it's like the more CRMs and the more beta testers that sign up, and we're really excited about how we have this 50% discount for beta testers because
Yes.
we want those big companies that are in the service industry to come and say, we want the discount. We know that people are going to use this software and we know how it should be done. And we will build it based off the way you want it to be built. It'll have the same features and the same MVP that we've already talked about. But those cool new features that are related to your CRM that you really have always wanted integrated and built, we'll build them and we won't charge you for it. There's no like workflow costs. I know that's a thing that this industry likes to add on to everything. It's like to build this stuff. It's like we're going to build it for you and we're going to set it up and it's going to run. But every one of the companies that are under you in size, that's going to be of value to them. So we're going to make money. We don't need to make it up front on your business. And that's where that trust and transparency comes into play. That's why we don't pay commissions to our team, is because we don't want our team members having conversations with you and you thinking in the back of your mind, how much money does Hunter make when he tells me that I need this blank thing? Right.
Yeah.
That's why when we, set up into like Hepner Corporation and our other companies like Hepner Consulting, when we're adding licenses to your business, the number one thing that frustrates me is when I get a new client and I'm taking them from someone else, which happens a lot. When I take one of them in and they tell me that they have Huntress and McAfee and Norton and like 6 other softwares. And I'm like, you get all that for free with Microsoft Defender. Like, why are you paying all these things? Oh, well, that's what the IT told me I needed to have. And it's because IT companies make you 75% off of every single one of your licenses. They don't care about you. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. You're a number in their system and they just want to reach their hand into your pocket. And that makes me angry as a veteran and a homeowner and, a company that's run by my family. Like, it frustrates me when people are doing the wrong things in their industry just so they can make a little bit more money and not taking into account the other people that are needing their services. It's extremely frustrating. So our call center system is built with the same values. Our corporation is built with the same values, and using us is a guaranteed way to make your business better. And we care about that relationship. We really want to drive it home with your company.
Oh, and again, like lived it, know it, and that's why I'm so grateful we get to talk about this today. And I know you and I could talk all day, but I'm going to kind of bring us to a wrap up here. Nate, as you look ahead and having worked in other industries and again, being deeply embedded in home improvement the last however many years, what's something today's modern contractor should be thinking about now to build a stronger, more scalable business over the next few years? Like, what's on the radar that people just aren't paying attention to yet? Or few are? I know that's a loaded question, man.
It is a loaded question, but the big piece is your foundation. Like you built your business, maybe it was out of your shed. Like I think that's how Brian Gottlieb got started, right? It was in his
Folding
shed.
table in the back of a warehouse. Yes.
Yeah. So you do that, you build it with your team and they care about your reputation and your trust. And then you become the Michael Jordan of the home industry like BG did, right? That's how it works. And I didn't come up with that reference. I've heard it like 9 times from other people. They're just like, he's the Michael Jordan of the industry. It's like, he is. I've met him. Like, he's a great guy. I've set up his laptop for him. Like, he's awesome. But the fact of the matter is, and while I don't think I've talked to him about, like, I know he knows about call center sync, but I haven't given him a demo on that. I know I think we have an email exchange for that one. to check
Yeah,
out.
I bet you'll love it.
With that being said, like we know a lot of the same people in the industry. Like, Justin, your husband, I have a good relationship with him. I have a good relationship with you, Jed. I was in the beginning of the One and Fun piece. Like we have many other companies that are in the home improvement space that love us and support our company, and we support them, and we get them discounts on things when months become a little bit lower or the seasonal work goes down. We're not just like keep giving us the same amount of money, right? Like we work with your businesses. We want to help you scale and grow. Just if you do good, we're going to do good, and that's the
Yeah.
big piece. But to your question, the going forward in this industry is that AI is just the start, right? You can be like Brian Gottlieb and you can create this incredible company and you can grow it. If you don't have a good IT team that's backing you, if you don't have people like my team, senior people that are coming in and helping support and secure your infrastructure, one bad click on an email takes over your entire email. You are no longer getting clients. You are no longer having access to your stuff. And unless you pay somebody an obscene amount of money that you may not have, you're never getting access to your data again. Our company does that every single day. So Hepner Consulting will manage your infrastructure the same way we did One and Fun. We'll take care of you, build you up, make sure that you're secure so you can focus on the things you love, and we'll focus on the stuff we love. I think that was a conversation that I got from Heather in the very beginning when I took over Macklin Law as a client. She told me like, hey, I'll do all your legal work, but I don't want to know anything about the IT stuff. Like you focus on IT, you do what you love, I'll do what I love. And that's why I love having them as my lawyer. Like they are an incredible business. That's why they came on your podcast and talked about TXP standards. That's why when we have questions, we go
Yes.
to Heather and her husband, Rob. They are literally the best lawyers that I've ever met in this industry. And I have multiple clients in the Appleton area that are lawyers. And there's a reason why they're my lawyers, right? I'm not going to say
Yep.
anything else other than that, but there's
No,
a reason,
also
right?
also incredible people.
Yeah.
Like
Heather is
amazing people.
intimidating. She scares me inside a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I go to her house when she's ready for courtroom and lawyer stuff, and I'm like, I'll be glad you're on my time.
Same.
Yeah.
When I first met, side note, when I first met Heather, I said, when I grow up, I want to be like Heather Macklin.
Yeah, it's intimidating. But if you want the best thing, you go with the person that scares you a little bit, right? Like,
right?
I'm 6'9" and 300 pounds, right? So I go to a client site and they're like, did we hire security or is this like, this is the nerd that's going to run everything? It's like, and then all of the people on my team, they're about my size too. I just kind of hire people that I can have high level conversations with.
When Nate and I are in the same place, I pass waste, but not by much.
So it's the starting point, right? Secure your infrastructure, build your organization, bring the right people in that you can delegate work out to. We're going to be cheaper than you hiring an IT ad for Hepner Consulting. That's guaranteed. So bring us in, let us manage your infrastructure, let us get your website set up. If you have a website designer ready, great, keep it. You want a new one, we'll build you a new one. We'll make your external present exactly what the services that you have. And then software, right? If you want a call center system, we'll build it for you. If you want integrations, we have storage systems, we have inventory software, we have reporting analytics platforms, we have all kinds of stuff. It's already built, ready to go just for your business. And then here's the key. If you come up with an idea and you say, Nathan, I love you being my IT person. I want to build blank thing that is not in the industry. If it makes sense, Hepner Sync will build it and then we'll give you 20% of the profit though, just because we want you to be our main beta tester for it, right? So there's always growth, always capability, and you can only get those types of relationships when you go with Hepner Corporation.
Ooh, just like, amen. Put a bow on it, but I'm not putting a bow on it yet because I still have to ask you 3 random questions about you. Are you ready? And then we'll put a bow on it and call us done. All right. Nate, you're a pretty even keel dude. You're used to high pressure situations, but when you're having a day where it's just a long day, you may feel stress and let something through your, hard candy shell there. What is your comfort food go-to?
Ice cream.
Oh,
yeah, I will.
There was zero hesitation there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Culver. I'm like, it's a soft surf machine, just funneling it into my body. Yeah, Yeah, I got really lucky with the metabolism category. Like I just a
Okay.
tiny bit of fat on my gut. That's about it. So I can just down ice cream, desserts, treats all the time, and my body just burns it by the end of the day.
I'm
So
so
yeah,
envious.
I am known on my team for being stressed and eating my feelings at Culver's just gallon at a time. Like
Is-
not lactose intolerant at all. It's just like water. My system loves it.
okay. Okay. Is there a specific flavor or just any ice cream?
Anything. Yeah, it's flavor of the day. You just let me know. As long as it doesn't have like anchovies or like mint, I'm good to go. You
Okay.
just tell me what it is, I'll eat it.
Okay. I mean, the flavors of the day get all of us, so I can empathize with that. But it sounds like you might visit them a little more than me
I'll
because
be
I
so
do
punching
not
for my
have
company
that
at this point.
metabolism.
Yeah.
But I give Culver's lots of money in kids' meals because, family life. Okay, next question. If we were to open up your Spotify playlist right now, what would surprise us? Or wherever you stream music?
Ooh, well, let me see. Well, a lot of the stuff that you're going to see is K-Love related. So I'm a big Christian guy myself. I love Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. So we do a lot of that type of stuff. A lot of like Ren Collective, different bands like that. But I don't know, like Xavier Rudd is a big one.
Okay.
Follow the Sun. I'll listen to that on my way home when I just need to zone out. But then I don't know. We do a lot of like kind of like rave music and stuff, like more tuned down, kind of like those types of things. But it is it depends on what it is. It could be a country
I
day, it
love
could be
it.
a rock day, but it's most of the time it's a Jesus day. That's the
Okay.
stuff that centers me and centers my girl and my kids and everybody else. So we try to focus on that as much as we can. You might have been able
Big
to tell I'm religious because of the whole, values and caring about how customers actually need things done. But we do the best we can by everybody.
you do an I know I've said this, but I'm not I mean what I say always, but you do an exceptional job of living your values. And so I think that does kind of come out, period, and how you conduct yourself. But I like the mix and being able to share that with our listeners because a lot of our listeners don't know you yet. So I mean, who doesn't love some K love?
Yeah,
All right.
it's a good
Last
one.
question. You are required to take a month off of work, as in like no devices. You and your family are going somewhere
Whoa.
for one whole month. Where are you going?
Porcupine Mountains, Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, again,
we're
that
camping.
was
Yeah.
instantaneous.
Now I was there last weekend. We did 3 5 mile hikes, and then we slept one night, and then the other night I made a fatal error with sleeping inside of a hammock while Sarah. So she's the COO of the company, and she's also my partner as well, and love of my life. But she was like, you just take a nap. You carried most of our weight for the hike. I think she had like a 20-pound pack, and I had an 85. So it was a
Yeah.
very different experience for both of us on that hike. And I took a sleep in a hammock. And it turns out that no matter how much bug spray you spray on your body, if you lay in a hammock, it's still tight enough to where they don't get affected by that. So I woke
Oh,
up with 86 bug bites on my back. It was literally just
oh,
my whole back was just riddled in mosquito bites. But rest of the hike was great. We went all the way up to Lake of the Clouds the first day, and then we went all the way down to Lake Superior the second day, and then we went back up and stayed on top of Governor's Mount, and then we walked down to the visitor center the following day. So it was a lot of hiking, a lot of ups and downs, but it was beautiful. And my children love hiking; they're very athletic as well. So no tablets. They're the kids that are just like they're like let's imagine everything. So they love the outdoors. My family does too. So it's going to be a week in the woods with no cell reception because that's the only way that I'm going to stay away from my phone. We have 30-second turnaround time most of the time with Hepner Consulting. So
yep.
like if a customer needs something, I'm like in the middle of dinner with Sarah and I'm like, oh, just 1 second. She's like, I get it. It's fine. Like she understands it's what pays the bills and we got to help out whenever a ticket comes in. So
Understood. Sarah's nicer than I am. I have made new parameters of dinner time, like your phone is not near the table, and I don't care who's calling. They are less important than the people at this table. And so So that is the Hatcher family rule. But we also, we have a kiddo in college. So when the four of us actually get to sit down together, I am now relentless on that.
Yeah, I think Sarah will get there at some point too. She's been pushing me to delegate more. So we
Yeah,
have
it
about 25
happens.
people on our team that kind of come in for projects and work on stuff and do things. And then we have our internal division directors. So we're always working and our team's always growing and we're always adding new features and capability. But it's one of those
Yes.
things where Sarah's just like, okay, like they all know you can do everything. You don't have to do everything anymore. Like you can come home for dinner. Like you don't have to work until 11 p.m. at night every day. I'm like, okay, I'll work from home. I'll come home, but I'm working from home and we'll do that. So that she gives me her breaks, but I feel like in the next 10 years, I'm going to probably do a little bit less than I currently am right now and delegate more.
That's valid. That's valid. All right, Nate, I'm going to wrap up this episode of the Modern Contractor. Again, thank you for sharing so much with us, doling out some of those really compelling data points, obviously leading us through the conversation with 100% transparency and keeping relationships first. Like I said, you lead with your values. And so I'm so excited we got to have this conversation about the solution you built that, again, it's so blatant of how it can help people. We have to talk about it. And I'm really grateful we got the time and you made time to join us on the Modern Contractor in your crazy busy schedule.
Thank you so much, Jen, for having me. I really appreciate it. And if anybody needs to reach us, you can come to hepnercorp.com. All of our
Yes.
websites are connected, obviously, and you can kind of work through what we do and whatever services you're interested in. We'd love to have that conversation. The main piece is you can book a discovery session right here. Multiple other sections on the page. You can come down here. Our beta tester program that explains how all of that works and how it's set up. For beta testers for new CRM, it's about a 1 to 2 week time frame for us to build it out and get it set up. But any of our existing CRMs like Builder Prime, i360, or Lead Perfection, we can have you set up in 30 minutes. So,
Which is insane.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is insane. And when my software design team came to me, and Ryan, who's the CTO of our company, when he came in and he said, "Hey Nathan, so you know how all of our competition is charging?" So Ryan Seppel, he's like, "Hey, you know how our team is like how we're releasing this thing?" And I was like, "Really? What are you releasing?" He's like, "Well, we built something that's different." I'm like, "Well, you're scaring me, Ryan. What is it?" And he's like, we built a brain for our AI." And I was like, "Okay, can you elaborate? That's a little bit interesting." So he showed
Yeah.
me this system where he literally took our entire software and he turned it into a database that has all these different little nodes that all communicate with each other. And it gives us the capability to where we can click a button and we can deploy a feature and it will tell us every single thing that is going to interact with before it actually interacts with it and makes the change, which then means that for testing and development time, a customer can say, "Hey, I want blank feature." We can code it, design it, release it to this thing. It will check, do all of our testing for us, and we can release it in a day instead of a software dev team needing 3 months to like release some new feature because they have to do all this rigorous testing and everything else. We just do it like that.
Yes.
That changes the entire game. Your development cycle goes off the hinges. You can build modules for really anything. You can release new features for everything because your main system that's doing the building, it's already been verified and gives you all the checks that it's not going to affect anything else. So that's why we are better than everybody else, because we're using things that are literally so innovative that most people on the internet don't even know that it's a capability yet.
Oh, I love it. And team, for those who are with us, we're going to put a QR code right at the end of here, and we'll have a calendar link to schedule that demo in the show notes as well. So if you're listening to this and you're in the car and you're like, wait, where is that link? We're going to make it super easy for you to schedule that demo, have the conversation, get what you need. Obviously, if you want to play in the beta mode, you got to find that on the website, but everything is super easy and user intuitive. So you should be able to find it easily, but have no worries. We'll make it super easy for you to schedule that demo, have the conversation.
Yeah. So the key here for all of these conversations that come from this, what we really want to be clear about is where you're coming from, right? So
Mm-hmm.
where you heard about us, what things we've talked about. That way we don't have to really rehash everything that we've already discussed. So if you go through the website and you book a meeting, if you go through the QR code, you book a meeting, make sure that you put in the special request section that you heard about us here, right? Where did you hear about us so that we can get that value? And then also at the same time, like we know where we should be giving our thanks, that kind of stuff. So with that being said, like however you want to get in contact with us, do it. But we'd love to know how you heard about us. That's a big piece.
100%. Every single company on the planet wants to know how you heard about us. And one of the best things about this industry is we are an industry that cares and referrals matter. So if you heard about it from another contractor, they want to hear it, right? So all the beautiful, wonderful things. Well, Nate, thank you again for making time in your busy, busy schedule to join us. I'm grateful we were able to get this on the calendar and make it happen. And I can't wait to hear about some of the incredible results you'll be able to give our listeners. So thank you again.
Thank you, Jen. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.